Pork butt is the first cut you should smoke to become a barbecue pitmaster.
It's impossible to mess up, dirt cheap, and you can enjoy delicious recipes like these, which I'll share next. Mac and cheese, Vietnamese pizza, and then finally, look at this cheese pull. Here's how a beginner and a pitmaster would approach 4 foundational concepts. For your first smoke, focus on the first 2. Number 1 is ambient temperature. Here I'm using a $140 rubber kettle, which I've covered in a previous YouTube video and a short, and I'm using the snake method, which I also covered. I'm also using a water pan, which is a bit of a crutch due to its high specific heat for temperature control, but I'll have more on that later. You'll want to preheat it and let it get up to temp so the meat goes straight into the hot smoker.
It's pretty simple right here. Just gonna season liberally with whatever rub. Doesn't matter a whole lot because most of the flavor is going to come from the smoke. But you need to put enough because remember, you're seasoning the outside, but you're flavoring the whole chunk. Ambient probe, facing the fire. You want your meat on one side, the heat source on the other side. Rotate the grate as the charcoal chain ignites. Exhaust right above the meat so that the airflow comes up over the meat and then out of the smoke. 266, so I gotta go turn that down. Rotate it so that the inside airflow is constricted and there's less airflow in.
Look at that thin blue smoke. That means the initial burn is through and we've got clean smoke and flavor. The dream. Number 2, bark formation.
Beginner or expert, smoke uncovered and do not spritz for the first 3 hours. This is gonna sound a little bit crazy to you, but the outside moisture has to dry out
and turn to the tacky, protein-rich pellicle on the outside, which then will caramelize into bark through the Maillard reaction. After 2 hours here, you can see it dried up, became the pellicle, and then the mahogany bark is starting to form.
I'm rotating the grate because I'm doing the snake method, which I covered in my last video. It's about 136 degrees right now, which is about right, an hour, and then the outside will probably start to glisten. That means the stall is about to start, the bark is set, it's done taking in smoke, and we're on to the next step. Let's close it up. Quick note about spritzing. A beginner will probably think that spritzing keeps the outside moist. A pitmaster knows that it's kind of like spitting into a hurricane. It really doesn't do anything, and if anything, it'll impact airflow a little bit and mainly impact bark formation. It's a crutch, so why not just work on getting your airflow down so that the smoke hits the meat in the right way? And if you really need to draw the airflow downward or towards the meat, you can put a water pan because basic thermodynamics, I think, the basic science, dictates that hot things will go to cold things to try to achieve thermal equilibrium. So do with that what you will, but I'd say don't overcomplicate it.
Number 3, the stall.
Okay, now this part really depends on the piece of meat, but at about 150 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, the meat will begin to slow down as temperature rises. And this is because it's gonna start sweating out all its about 60% water content.
Now indulge me here. If you're a beginner or you don't really know barbecue and you think this is burnt, that bark right there, that epic crust on the outside is where all the flavor has accumulated from the smoke and caramelization of proteins. We just need to finish the cook now, and I'll explain why.
So we're gonna do the Texas crutch, which is using foil to wrap it. Definitely a beginner move, or if you're just shorter on time, but it's gonna braise the meat, so it's gonna continue to cook quickly. But the texture will get mushier and the bark will soften. But don't worry about that this time, because we're making teeth optional pulled pork for your grandparents in the nursing home, so they can eat it. $275 again.
Number 4, doneness.
All right, it's 200 degrees, which is the finish line for beginners, but pitmasters know that's just a signal to check for tenderness and collagen breakdown, which begins at 160 degrees Fahrenheit. By probing for buttery tenderness or handling the meat, which takes experience. Usually, you want the meat to sit above that 160 degrees range for at least 3-4 hours to give it enough time for all that collagen to break down into gelatin. But I say usually because it does depend on a lot of different factors. Maybe the composition of the meat itself, how much collagen is in there, or the size of the meat. See how it just slides in and out? This is literally falling apart. If I let go of this, it would just fall off right here in this crack. And then you'll see when I pull the bone out that it just completely falls apart. All of the intermuscular tissue and collagen has been broken down into gelatin, and there's not really a whole lot of structure holding it together, which is exactly what we want for pulled pork. That's why I said it's okay to wrap this in foil, do the Texas crutch, because we don't really need anything holding it together like you would maybe in ribs or brisket. Trust me, you still want a little bit of texture and structure in brisket.
Well, I hope you learned something, or at least enjoyed this. Next time, I will show you guys some incredible put-me-on-my-ass recipes to convince you to make this if you're not already convinced. Peace.
Teeth optional.